Welcome back to Boy Party, the podcast that tackles cinema's most legendary team-ups, films where two or more major stars shared the screen and battled it out for screen time, top billing, the fatter paycheck, and the most acclaim. Every week, we'll be discussing movies that gave audiences two for the price of one on legends of the silver screen, definitely in this case, and we'll be delving into dueling star personas and the ultimate quest for box office, Oscars, and cinematic dominance. And don't worry, we will be discussing actors of all genders from week to week because girls are invited to the boy party and gender is a construct. My name is Lucien, and I'm joined by another boy, a boy in the hood, a boyhood, a boy... I'm trying to think of another film with boy in the title. A boy... Boy erased, a boy A. It's beautiful boy, Shane Kelly.
Beautiful boy, that is me.
You're the beautiful boy yourself.
Good evening.
Are you centrally intelligent?
Peripherally.
We had a teacher in school who used to use an example of an oxymoron. British intelligence. Central intelligence is not quite there. Possibly the most generic title for a film I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yes, but it also kind of gives away the entire plot when you're watching the first half hour of this.
I suppose. Well, so does the guns on the poster.
Sure.
But I would say that central intelligence is ChatGPT generated title for a spy movie. Absolutely meaningless words that sound like an espionage plot is involved.
It's like the first two words of Central Intelligence Agency.
Yeah.
They're not intelligent. They are.
There's no pun.
It's a gag that they're dumb, I guess.
But they're not even dumb.
They're not even dumb in the film.
Get Smart is a pun because his name is Maxwell Smart and he's stupid. So it's called Get Smart.
Sorry, they seem to be playing on the idea that Get Smart is a fun title.
I
guess it's kind of the same.
I do think this film exists in a post Get Smart world.
Sure.
I do think people forget that The Rock is in Get Smart.
He is.
And he's pretty good in it. I think everyone's pretty good in Get Smart, a film that I like, a TV show that I like more. But we'll get back to that. But a very generic title for a very generic film. But the first team up of a pair of actors who have sort of inadvertently become
a bit of a duo.
A bit of a duo, even though they certainly didn't sort of start off as being counterparts by any means. But they've kind of inadvertently become... the sort of the Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn of the modern day, bringing us such joy. With
another one of Hollywood's victims of the big small problem.
Yes, exactly.
You can't escape it.
They're on a Schwarzenegger DeVito buzz, except everything is scaled way down in terms of charm and talent.
Yeah. I also don't think they scaled them as people properly.
Not at all. These films are poorly directed.
I think so.
And you don't get a sense of the hilarious height disparity between these two guys. If they were well directed, you could see it.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't make sense. I would like you to guess for me right now the two men's heights in feet.
6'5" and 5'5".
Okay. 6'5" and 5'5", you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer either yet. I'm going to guess.
I think I'm very close.
I think he's less than 6'5". I think he's 6'4".
Okay.
And I think that Hart is going to be 5'5" is probably right. I'm going to say 5'5" as well.
I'll look up Kevin Hart. You look up The Rock.
The Rock is 6'5". You're correct. Well done. 1.96 meters. He is, according to Google, 115 kilograms. I'd say that changes all the time. Do you know what age The Rock is? Because I wouldn't have been able to tell you that.
Okay, he was in The Mummy in 2001.
That's an interesting one. His age.
I'd say he's 45.
He is 51.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
He is 7 years younger.
Okay, I'm seeing here that Kevin Hart is 5'2".
I buy that.
Based on the film.
5'5" not that small. As in, we have a good few friends who are 5'5", 5'6". Kevin Hart is known for being prematurely a very small man.
They don't show in the film.
How tall's Tom Cruise?
5'7".
So yeah, Kevin Hart's a lot shorter than Tom Cruise. The Rock being 51 does surprise me. He has the air of a younger man. He is only 6 or 7 years younger than Paul Giamatti, but he is also only 6 or 7 years younger than Vin Diesel, who is the same age as Paul Giamatti.
Right.
Now, if you asked me if Vin Diesel and The Rock were the same age, I would have said yes.
No, I think Vin Diesel is...
You think he seems older?
Yeah.
I think when they're in movies together, they don't seem older. Well, regardless, what are your overall thoughts firstly, on The Rock? Do you like him?
I have very little opinion on him. I think he's a sexless, apolitical,
Yes.
relatively humorless
True.
man who also like takes himself slightly too seriously to see the comedic value in his size.
Yes.
And that's all on display in this.
Yes.
But as a whole, don't have any major ill will against him. I've kind of come around to just being completely neutral on him because like I think he does just like the movies in a similar sense to the Tom Cruise types.
Yeah.
And
sure. I think he weirdly tricked everyone through PR into declaring him in like 2018 the biggest movie star in the world. Why were people saying that? He was never in a film where he was the lead that was a massive, massive hit. His biggest movies are the Fast and Furious movies where he is the like second, third lead / the villain. And like,
but was he just one of these men who was like,
he's just a big PR guy?
Sure,
like,
but he was appearing in a lot of things as the pure lead.
Yes.
And maybe that kind of presented
there was a series of $100 million films where he was the star, released very close together.
Yeah.
Rampage, Skyscraper, San Andreas. This sort of all came out within 2.5, 3 years, and first Jumanji. But like, and the Jumanji movies make loads of money, but there's nothing there. Like, I would argue, for example, that American Sniper cemented Bradley Cooper as an A-list star more than any of those movies did for The Rock, where you had a drama with no genre or blockbuster elements to it, with one guy on the poster, and it made like a fucking $500 to $1 billion range. Like,
The Rock has no prestige behind his name at all.
Well, there's that. But I also just don't think that he's ever brought a movie to success in the way that like Bradley Cooper did with American Sniper, or the way that Tom Cruise has done throughout his career. Yeah. There's never been a Dwayne Johnson hit movie where you can point at him and say, that guy's name is worth $1 billion. There's sort of a couple of mid-sized successes. And then there's his involvement in Fast and Furious, which is a phenomenal story. He was brought into those movies. He made them better. He's great in Fast 5. He's great in 6 and 7 and 8. I don't think he's very good in Hobbs and Shaw. But like, he brings value to that franchise, which obviously attests to his value as a star. And I like him a lot when he's younger and skinnier. I think he's really good in those family comedies that he did. I'm a big fan of Tooth Fairy.
Oh, yes.
I think Game Plan's pretty fun. I think Race to Witch Mountain is really fun. I think him
completely blanked on that.
He's got great charisma with the kids in that movie, and with Kieran Hines, who's in that film, and with Carla Gugino, and like he was kind of carving out a weird kind of like Ben Stiller thing for himself in those movies as like just kind of like as like family comedy movie star.
So now that you say it, like thinking about his performance in like The Tooth Fairy, I remember that being significantly more charming, way more of a real person.
He got too big, and he became obsessed with being a beautiful Greek god monolith.
It feels like the older and more successful he got, the more insecure he got with his performances.
Yes, with his performances, and maybe with his physicality as well, and wanting to be a big tough guy and not like a kind of a whatever normal-ish weight, like not wrestler looking man. Like he went back to looking like a wrestler after not looking like a wrestler. Now, as far as I know, his skinny years were somewhat involuntary in the sense that Hollywood told him, you're too big to be a famous actor, you're gonna freak people out. So I'm glad he's happy with how he looks. I want him to be happy with how he looks. But unfortunately the roles that come with that have been slightly less interesting, which is something that never happened with Schwarzenegger, who is the closest comparison in the sense that he's a massive guy who came from the world of bodybuilding, and he doesn't look like a real human being. He looks like a guy, and like he's somewhat animated, not really an actor. Looney Tunes character, and like Schwarzenegger is actually a worse actor than The Rock, but he had a longer and better run as a movie star because he was not trying to be something that he couldn't.
He leaned into his
weird Austrian accent and his beefiness, and like The Rock has never had a Terminator 2 type project that really worked with what he had to offer. which is a pity.
Well, is that how much do you think that's on himself for not pushing himself to work
It's totally
with
on
directors?
himself. He's doing shit. He's working with bad directors. He's
Yeah.
working with this guy, Ross and Marshall Thurber, who made Central Intelligence. And he also made this is his filmography: Dodgeball, We're the Millers, This, Skyscraper, and Red Notice.
Okay.
So he is now just The Rock's buddy.
Yeah.
He works with this guy Brad Payton, who is equally a shite director. He did Rampage and San Andreas. And then he works with Jean Collet-Serra, who is a slightly better director, but he used to do some decent enough Liam Neeson thrillers, but now he's just become The Rock's puppet. And like,
does The Rock get a producer credit in all these films?
yes, he does.
Okay.
And he is like, he's playing the Tom Cruise game, where he obviously only trusts these very specific directors that he knows won't, do anything he doesn't trust them to do. But fortunately, Tom Cruise found Christopher McQuarrie a real inventive guy who wanted to use his persona in interesting ways, and The Rock just hasn't found someone like that.
Like, do you think The Rock has a vision beyond his own kind of selfish interests of just being perceived as large man?
Everything we're saying needs to be taken in the context that he is doing a fucking Safdie movie for A24 now. So
I was not aware of this.
You weren't aware of this?
No.
I told you about this.
I'm sure you did, but I don't listen to a lot of what you tell me.
That's so funny. Okay. So
sorry, that makes a huge difference.
He's literally about to start production on this. Give me a sec now. Now, keep in mind, he has a fucking Santa Claus movie coming out this next Christmas with Chris Evans, where he plays Santa Claus.
Okay.
Sorry, he doesn't. J.K. Simmons plays Santa Claus, and he plays like some fucking elf who does a heist or some shit.
Right.
He is making Benny Safdie's first solo directorial feature, The Smashing Machine, and Dwayne Johnson will be playing MMA and UFC champion Mark Kerr. Per A24, the film marks The Rock's move into his most dramatic project and role yet. It's based on the story of the legendary MMA fighter at the peak of his career in the year 2000. Now, that sounds rubbish to me. It sounds really bad. But it sounds bad in like the right direction.
Yeah.
Like, the guy is obviously not getting paid his usual fee for this movie. He's obviously identified that Benny Safdie is somebody worth teaming up with. I think that's a promising sign, even if it's just the start of the right direction.
Benny Safdie strikes me as someone who will try and crack someone open and get a side out of them that hasn't been.
The problem is that role sounds like it isn't going to be a challenge for him at all. It sounds like an incredibly safe role. Like, having him play a professional fighter is like a little too autobiographical. Where I'm like, that's just not going to challenge him at all.
Maybe that's why he took it.
So enough about him. Kevin Hart. Thoughts on Kevin Hart? I really don't like him.
No,
and I've tried to get over that, just to not be a spoil sport. But he sucks. He's not funny. Like, and he seems like a bad person.
He's far enough away from like the stuff I usually consume that I can ignore him.
Yeah,
and just pass him off as like whatever. He's just famous American comedian.
He doesn't darken my door. You know, the way that I made this point recently, where I was like, the difference between someone like Jimmy Carr or Ricky Gervais and someone like Michael McIntyre is that Michael McIntyre does not bother me. He never comes into my space. Mm-hmm. He stays away. He's over there in his corner. Yeah. The soft Tory Daily Telegraph reader, BBC One people like his stuff. They laugh at his jokes about spilling juice and slipping on the floor or forgetting your glasses at the office, whatever the fuck he makes jokes about. I see him on TikTok maybe once a year. That is it. Jimmy Carr and Ricky Gervais every fucking day on my Twitter, making fun of gypsies and trans people and being like, the worst people in the world. Kevin Hart kind of has that Michael McIntyre thing going for him, where I
don't think he craves the approval of smart people.
He doesn't, and he doesn't do the Dave Chappelle thing where he goes on like extensive rants about minorities. Yeah. He seems like he is casually homophobic, and he seems to have been quite homophobic to his own child, which lost him the Oscar. His tweets, at least about it, maybe they were jokes, lost him the Oscar hosting gig, which I think is better for everyone. But he seems like somebody who kind of just sticks to his very lowbrow, very generic.
He didn't expand on that and try and he
hasn't
turn
become
that
a
into
culture warrior in any major way. And I think he knows that his film career is dependent on him not pissing too many people off anymore, at least. So he's remaining a little bit tolerable as a result.
His material is so easily avoided.
Yes.
Which I think is kind of the key to not...
Now, his film work does come into my life a little bit more. So he has a big Netflix movie out this past week called Lift, which was actually shot in Northern Ireland. And it's a heist movie set on a plane or something. It's the kind of thing that I would absolutely watch if like anyone else was the star. He makes a lot of Netflix movies, and that is fine because I don't have to watch them. And
he makes
don't bother
inessential cinema.
I would rather him make Netflix movies than make cinematic released films that I would have to avoid in the cinema rather than just not go on Netflix, a website that
he's not occupying space in your cinema listings.
Exactly, right? Now, the one Kevin Hart thing I do enjoy is the meme format where it's him at the poker table and it's captioned, "This is blank bitch. We clown in this motherfucker. Better take your sensitive ass back to blank," which is a really good meme format. I'm looking one right now that's it's obviously about Holocaust films, and it says, "This is the day the clown cried, bitch. We clown in this mother..." Oh, sorry, the clown bit was about that. "We clown in this motherfucker. Better take your sensitive ass back to zone of interest."
Okay.
This is always funny to me. I like this meme format. It's really good, and it does involve Kevin Hart, so I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Kevin Hart and The Rock. I feel like the only thing these guys have going as a duo on paper is the size difference, and this movie has a poster that leans into that gag very hard. So I'm looking at this one, which Shane can't see, but it's
the one of him standing behind him.
The one where The Rock's back is turned.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Look at the one where The Rock is kind of like inside profile and Kevin Hart is looking straight forward.
Yes.
And the tagline is really big because I love this movie's tagline. I think it is so clever, and it is like half the reason I wanted to cover it on the podcast. The tagline for this movie, so the teaser poster does not have The Rock or Kevin Hart's names on the poster. It just has, in massive writing, "Saving the world takes a little Hart, H-A-R-T, and a big Johnson." It's great. It's perfect.
Excellent.
It's perfect. A little Hart.
No fat on that at all.
It's perfect. It's really good.
Yeah.
You're getting me. You're telling me what the film is.
Yep.
Because you're saying saving the world. So I'm like, oh, okay. It's like an action movie with a espionage element. A little Hart. His name's Hart and he's small. A big Johnson. His name's Johnson and he's big. It works on like 4 levels. Yeah. And it's like the movie has a little Hart and a big Johnson. Oh my god, fantastic tagline. One of the best. It also is a fun example on the terms of this podcast and what we talk about of the actors not actually getting credited on the poster in typical fashion and just having their names incorporated into a pun sentence, which I like.
Do you think that was a compromise?
I think it's an interesting one in the sense that a little Hart is first but smaller and a big Johnson is bigger. It's in a bigger font.
Yeah.
On the actual end credits of the movie, the guys have a split billing card, which is our dream for this podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
This is how
your automatic boy party.
Automatic boy party. If you were worried the movie was not a boy party, this answers that question. So bottom left, we have Dwayne Johnson, and then top right, we have Kevin Hart. So everyone's happy there. Ooh, I am a person who reads from left to right. Dwayne Johnson, billed first. I am a person who reads from top to bottom. Kevin Hart first. Both people are happy. Yeah. Wonderful. We fixed world peace. So obviously that is great for them. Great outcome. Love the marketing for this film and how it looks. Yellow, black, and white.
I wonder why
that's familiar. So folks, this film, I don't know if this was subconscious, is the exact same design as my student union campaign from 2020. If you go to Instagram.com/
it's almost identical.
Lou4SU, the exact same shade of yellow. I like genuinely, maybe I took this color. I don't remember doing it, but I can certainly imagine myself having done it. The exact shade of yellow.
Your font was slanted the same.
The font was slanted in the same way, and the yellow and the black and white is there. I remember liking this poster when the movie came out in 2016. I don't remember consciously copying it in 2020, but I certainly think I was probably subconsciously copying it. I think it's class. I think my student union stuff looked class. You can go to Lou4SU, number 4 SU on Instagram if you want to check out the graphics. They were the exact same. and it worked out great for me. I won that election. Haha. So Central Intelligence poster, you served me well. Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart's stats compared, they have not received any Oscar nominations, obviously, because we live in a just society. Dwayne Johnson's total box office as a lead is $5 billion, and then he also has another $5 billion as a lead ensemble.
It's all
member.
F&F.
The lead,
I'd assume.
Lead includes, interesting. They don't break these down very well. Okay, lead and lead ensemble adds up to $10 billion and includes stuff like his highest grossing films being The Fate of the Furious, Jumanji, Fast 6, Hobbs and Shaw, Fast 5, Moana, San Andreas.
Are they using a looser definition of
Black Adam
lead for these categories?
I don't know. But he's got $10 billion. And then Kevin Hart, if you count the Jumanji films and things in which he is sort of second billed, you get a total of $4.6 billion. Which is pretty impressive for a guy whose primary job is as a stand-up comedian.
Yes.
He is, of course, in the Secret Life of Pets movies, which help a lot. And he is in...
Both of them are.
The Rock is in DC Super Pets. He's not in Secret Life of Pets.
I think they're both in DC Super Pets.
Yes, they are.
Yes, sorry.
And then, but sorry, Kevin Hart is in The Secret Life of Pets and DC League of Super Pets.
Right.
Multiple Pets animated movies. Lazy. He's also in Captain Underpants, which made $126 million. I did not realize. Ride Along made $156. And there's a movie we have to cover in this podcast. The Upside. The American remake of the famous French drama Les Intouchables, starring Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart.
Right.
We must cover it. It is a drama about a man in a wheelchair and the French film is very famous. Drama about a man in a wheelchair and the guy he hires to care for him. Came out in 2019. The Upside grossed $125 million.
I've seen this.
Completely insane. You've seen the Bryan Cranston Kevin Hart one?
I have seen.
I haven't.
It came on. I think it came on TV.
It has big coming on TV vibes from that movie.
Where I saw the scene where Kevin Hart is being hired to.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Can't wait to talk about it on this podcast.
Stupid.
Hopefully
It's like that scene in Ted where he's like intentionally trying to mess up the interview, and Bryan Cranston's just like, I like this guy.
That happens in the French version as well. Yeah. I think a lot of my animosity for Kevin Hart, which has somewhat sort of been, I've got under control recently, but my animosity for Kevin Hart really comes from the fact that somebody we were in school with was really into the movie Ride Along, went to see it multiple times in the cinema and thought Kevin Hart was great. And the way he talked about it just pissed me off. That's all. Nothing more to it. Just.
Well, there's also the fact he makes like
from when I was in school.
He also makes like dog shit gay panic humor like Get Hard.
Sorry. Oh, I forgot about Get Hard.
Get Hard is a crime.
I'm happy to announce Get Hard is a boy party movie that we will never cover on this podcast. I don't want to talk about it. The entire joke of the film is, wouldn't it be terrible to have a sexual thing happen to you in prison by another man? Of course, an unfortunate thing one would want to avoid. Should we make a comedy film about how to avoid that situation? Maybe not. Maybe that would involve a bit of homophobia, perhaps.
Yeah, just no.
Horrible looking film. Never want to see it. Regardless, Central Intelligence.
Yeah, we haven't spoken about the film at all.
This movie starts in 1996. Yeah. Are you really trying to tell me that these guys are like 17 years older than me? Because they're not. The Rock, we have just demonstrated, is 51 years old.
51.
So he was not in high school in 1996. Anyway, there's a flashback scene. Kevin Hart's a popular kid. He's the sports champion. Everyone loves him. The Rock is like massively overweight. The kids who play these guys as young men are very well cast.
Yes.
We cut forward to present day, and Kevin Hart has a very boring life. He peaked in high school. He's now an accountant. He's very bored. He gets a text on Facebook from this guy, the guy who was the loser in school.
Oh,
his name's Bob Stone.
Bob Weirdick.
Robert
Weirdick.
Robert Weirdick. His name is now Bob Stone, and he wants to meet up. They meet up. He finds out that Bob Stone is a covert agent of some kind.
Yeah,
and he basically gets pulled into his work because he is an accountant, and therefore he can help him do some, I don't know, investigation into
financial crime investigation.
Some money that's being transferred around.
The whole gag of this is that The Rock was incredibly overweight, and then when he meets him again 20 years later, he's The Rock and
now
super jacked.
I think this film really wastes the potential of these guys' banter because surely what you want from these guys, and I'm sure this happens in maybe in the Jumanji movies, I don't know, is Kevin Hart is an annoying guy with a high-pitched voice who never shuts up. And The Rock has a really good irritated eyebrow.
Yes.
That's his best asset as an actor. Why is their dynamic not what it should obviously be, which is Kevin Hart is really annoying and never shuts up, and The Rock does his eyebrow thing to demonstrate that he is irritated? That isn't what happens.
They completely reverse the dynamic.
They reverse the dynamic where The Rock is kind of annoying and like overeager and desperate to be friends, and Kevin Hart is like, I kind of just want to do my job and hang out with my wife. And it is like completely wrong, and it doesn't use either of their best assets to their fullest potential at all. It just seems like such a waste of like having them in the same movie. So it's a failure on those grounds.
I agree, but like it's one of these things that's worth trying in reverse once. Just
why try it on the first go around? Like
this makes less sense that this is their first film together.
It's like, it would make sense if that was your fourth fucking Kevin Hart.
Yeah, and you want
I don't know. It's like Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy. If they were in a fucking movie together, the first time you wouldn't make Eddie Murphy the irritated one and Steve Martin the chatty one.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's weird. Now, the plot of this film is utterly impossible to follow. It's very, very, it's both too complicated and incredibly simplistic.
Yeah, it's one of these, somebody has a USB stick.
Yes.
They need to get.
Now, there is no genre of film, like with all respect, there is no genre of film harder to make good than the spy comedy. I think it is very hard to make an exciting espionage film that is also successfully funny. I think there are like less than 5 examples of ones that work. I actually do think Get Smart is quite a good one. And I think that the Get Smart show sets the grounds for that. I think this is unfortunately not a particularly good one.
Well, like they don't... See, the thing is with this is that the espionage spy part is... It's like sincere.
Yes.
It's like, this is a real crime. It's not like Austin Powers where it's like...
Yes, of course.
Stupid.
Well, but it has to be because you need to have... Because The Rock wouldn't do the movie unless he got to look cool firing a gun.
Yeah.
And the poster needs to have the cool guns.
Like none of the villains are cartoon characters like the other two are meant to be.
Like it should have a fucking Zoolander villain situation.
Sure, yeah.
But instead it's like a fucking random... just Eastern European gangster, and then Aaron Paul shows up for like literally like 7 or 8 minutes.
The least cartoonish man in the world.
Exactly. And Aaron Paul rocks up just to basically have like a guy who can fight The Rock, who's kind of physically able, but like Aaron Paul is like quite small, so it doesn't really make sense.
No, there is another character in this that maybe they could have given a bigger role that would have fit
our boy JB.
Our boy JB.
So halfway through this movie, maybe a little bit more than half, there is a wonderful surprise appearance by everyone's favorite Smartless podcast host, Jason Bateman. Who shows up as Trevor Olson, who bullied The Rock in high school.
Yeah.
He is now also an accountant?
No, he's like a
I don't know what
banker of sorts.
Yeah. And he basically...
Again, doesn't matter.
They go to his office for 10 minutes and he does a bunch of Jason Bateman mugging, and it is like easily the best part of the film.
Oh, he's such a boost of life to this.
He's so much more competent at just like keeping the audience's attention than either of these guys is, that you kind of just like, maybe I'll turn this off and watch fucking Air or like just a random episode of Ozark
or Arrested Development
or like The Switch with Jennifer Aniston or some shit. I don't know. Anyway, Jason Bateman's great in 10 minutes of this movie. And then at the end, you get a random cameo from Jason Bateman's Identity Thief co-star Melissa McCarthy, who plays the girl that Robbie was...
She was a girl that was also being bullied in high school.
Yeah. And of course, they're like, well, she has to be played by a actress who is known for her size, so Melissa McCarthy. But I'm completely.
I was shocked that Melissa McCarthy showed up in this.
Huge name to have as a movie surprise, and she's great. And great to see her. Always happy to see Melissa McCarthy.
Big fan of Melissa McCarthy.
We'll be discussing her very soon, I'm sure. Talking about The Heat, which we can't wait to talk about. Another kind of espionage comedy. It's not really. It's police, but it's similar enough. There's a crime. A much better film than this. Much better. But yeah, great to see Melissa McCarthy, Jason Bateman, and her. You would almost be fooled for a second into thinking, oh, I wish I was watching a crime comedy with Jason Bateman and Melissa McCarthy. And then you realize
there's an idea
that Identity Thief is probably worse than Central Intelligence. So that's not going to happen. Other people who pop up in this are Amy Ryan, who's great, Thomas Kretschmann, and Kumail Nanjiani, who I'm always happy to see. Academy Award nominated screenwriter Kumail Nanjiani. Now there's a man who is going to start a podcast any day now.
Yeah. Now there's a man who probably saw The Rock in Central Intelligence
and was like I want to be like that. Now, Jason Bateman, like, I hope he keeps making movies because he is now the biggest podcaster in the world. So,
by what metric? By what metric?
By the fact that Amazon bought SmartList for $50 million, and he got a third of that money.
Okay,
but obviously he's not. They're not quite Joe Rogan numbers, but they are.
This is Arnett as well.
Consistently, and Sean Hayes, they are consistently the top 5 podcasts in America.
I've never listened to Smartless.
I listen to it the odd time. It's not good. Mm-hmm. Every episode is the most famous person in the world. Like,
that'll help.
It's sort of the Ron Howard of podcasts, where you're like, it's all A-listers. I just don't care. You know, every episode will be.
It's the Ridley Scott,
Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg, Paul McCartney, the ghost of Elvis Presley. Mm-hmm. George Michael's curtains, and you're just like, oh, I don't care. Any other thoughts on Central Intelligence as a vehicle for these two star personas?
As a vehicle, I think these don't fully work as a duo because they're both too insecure to be shown for what's their most.
They're both trying too hard.
They're both trying way too hard.
They're not relaxed.
Kevin Hart has the worst type of humor, the type of humor I hate the most, which is.
What if that guy?
What if everyone like stays quiet while I ramble for an extra few seconds and hopefully something funny hits? It's the Kevin Hart. It's the Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, it's awful.
I hate it
it's
so much.
It's absolutely insipid. Yeah, I agree. It's they kind of took what Robert Downey Jr. does in the Marvel movies and they interpret it the wrong way.
Yeah, and he does it in kind of a deadpan way where they do it in a hysterical.
There is a Jack Sparrow to Tony Stark to these guys pipeline that has ended very badly for society. We should have stopped after Robert Downey Jr. The Ryan Reynolds and Kevin Hartification. Like, obviously, Eddie Murphy and Chris Rock do this kind of thing. They have kind of set the stage for what Kevin Hart's
there's something kind of musical when they do
it. They're so much more charismatic. Eddie Murphy has such a better voice and way of speaking. Like, imagine if Kevin Hart played Donkey in Shrek.
Like, Kevin Hart's is just getting progressively more hysterical. There's no kind of control to it.
I think people of our parents' generation maybe felt this way about Jim Carrey and Eddie Murphy in the 90s.
Very possible.
But they're just more funny. I don't know. It works better.
Maybe our kids will like Kevin Hart.
Yes, maybe they will.
No, but I am fully convinced in this film that Kevin Hart is on a box.
Because he's just not as small as he should be.
Yeah.
But there's something wrong. If he let the tagline of the movie be a little Hart, I can't imagine.
Does he even carry him at any point?
He's insecure. No, he doesn't carry him at any point. But, like, if he allowed the fucking tagline of the movie to reference his size, I don't think he'd insist on there being a box. Surely not.
I know. I just saw some shots where the height difference just seemed inconsistent.
This man over here inspecting the fucking tapes of the Kennedy assassination. Yes. He saw some shots, folks. He saw some shots.
Lee Harvey Oswald put a box under Kevin Hart.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this a good time to bring up my favorite Kevin Hart fact?
Go for it.
I visited Los Angeles once, and on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, the star right next to Kevin Hart's star is, have I told you this before? Do you know who it is?
I don't remember what it is.
It is Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
They're right beside each other.
That's depressing. Why was there a gap beside Alfred Hitchcock? Do you think
somebody... No, they go in like alternating...
Oh, okay, right.
So it's like a chessboard where it's like...
It would be funny if they had like had to replace somebody who got cancelled.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, sorry, Kevin Hart, there's no room. We're going to have to put you in the old fucking Brett Ratner spot or something.
Yeah. The Walk of Fame has no like pattern to it at all.
Yes, it's just all over the place.
Yeah.
This movie, in terms of who won the movie, so the answer is Jason Bateman. I guess.
Who though? Like,
of the two of them, like, I didn't think Kevin Hart was as insufferable in this as he is in some other things. So on those grounds,
I think by casting him as a middle class accountant, you limit the amount of disgusting he can be.
Yeah,
because he's playing a reserved,
he can't
boring
be
man.
As homophobic and sexist as he may be in some of his in stuff like Ride Along, where he's playing like himself, basically.
Yeah, because he's a well put together man with a wife,
exactly,
who wants to have a kid,
exactly.
Which for the better.
Yes.
Okay.
Worth noting, this film is executive produced by Steve Mnuchin, who was Trump's Secretary of the Treasury.
Yep.
Steve Mnuchin was the founder of Dune Entertainment, And he basically ended up in a deal with Warner Brothers, with Rat Pack Dune, with Brett Ratner, who I just mentioned, who is a sex criminal and alleged, if his lawyers are listening. And basically, as a result of this, Steve Mnuchin ended up credited on executive producer on about 30 Warner Brothers films, probably more, between 2014 and 2017. I'm going to just quickly list some of the films he was credited as an executive producer on. Just some absolute bangers in here. A lot of
bangers here.
The Lego Movie, Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, shit, actual bangers.
The Judge, Inherent Vice, American Sniper, Get Hard, Mad Max Fury Road, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Focus, Jupiter Ascending, How to Be Single, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Central Intelligence, Suicide Squad, Sully, The Accountant, Collateral Beauty, the Lego Batman Movie, Fist Fight, that's an interesting boy party we haven't thought of before, King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, Wonder Woman, and his final credit before he joined the Trump cabinet was The Disaster Artist.
I think he might have the privilege of being on the best film of the 2010s and the worst film of the 2010s.
What did I just list that is the best film of the 2010s?
Mad Max Fury Road.
All right, sure.
No, sure, but that's why they're great.
And what's the worst? Suicide Squad and
King Arthur.
And fucking... There was a third one in there that's really bad. Get Hard. God, some real dog shit in there.
I thought you were going to come at me with a slate of absolute rubbish, but like there is some reasonably good stuff in there.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything.
No, I know.
This is money. There was a money credit.
Sure.
He was just financing films, yeah.
It's fun to have your name on them, though.
The only film he actually produced as a producer was, really bizarrely, Warren Beatty's Rules Don't Apply, which
was this
Alden Ehrenreich vehicle that I quite enjoy.
This isn't one of these things that he does to keep the IP of something.
No, that was a real movie that he made about Howard Hughes. I don't know. Anyway. Credits game. I'm going to list the credits of a movie starring one of the boys from this boy party. I'm going to list the credits of the movie backwards. According to Letterboxd, Shane gets more points the earlier he guesses until we get to our final star. The star of Central Intelligence that is in this film may not be first billed, keep in mind, but I'll let you know when I get to their name. Travis, do you want a year?
What?
Do you want a year?
Yeah, go on. I assume like it's obviously post
2021.
Right.
Travis Gomez, Peter Luis Zimmerman, Hector Benos, Michael H. Cole, Christina Souza, Pedro Haro, Ramoldo Castillo.
Okay, I'm going to pause you here because there's a lot of Spanish names.
There are. Or at least names from the Spanish-speaking world.
Yeah, sure, Hispanic names. Yes. Yeah. Is this Jungle Cruise?
Ding, ding, ding. Ding correct. Ding. Well done.
Thank you.
It is Jungle Cruise. We were going to get up to the top. The top row of names was going to be Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
Listen to this for a list. Paul Giamatti, Jesse Plemons, Jack Whitehall, Emily Blunt, and The Rock. Incredible. Incredible.
One of those is not like the other.
That is a film that I gave a 3-star review.
Really?
You know, Paul Giamatti walks around with a parrot on his hand.
Okay.
They simply made it to keep me happy. They were like, if we're gonna make him watch Jack Whitehall, his least favorite person, we're gonna have to have Paul Giamatti holding a parrot.
Yeah. They kind of cancel out.
It's only fair.
If you took Jack Whitehall, it would be 5-star. If you took Giamatti out, it would be 1-star.
Exactly. They are the average of my taste. You have the box office?
I do indeed. I actually have it this time.
You have
found it all myself.
So this film cost what? 50.
Sure.
That's not that bad.
Well, it's shit.
Do we have the do we have that's true. There's actually like no big action scenes in
this.
No. So
there's like 1 or 2 office bits.
They're very low stakes. Do we have the actor salaries? It's giving me the salaries of like actual CIA operatives. That was a bad thing to Google.
Yeah, that's they did that intentionally.
I have the salaries here. The Rock earned $14 million and Hart earned $10 million. Crazy. That's ridiculous.
Okay, so we know. Yeah.
So 24 of the $50 million was spent on the two guys.
It's scaled by body weight.
It is scaled by body weight, exactly. We should split all of our household bills that way. It'll get me going to the gym.
To lose more weight.
Oh wait, that doesn't make any sense.
No, what?
That will end awful.
We'll
both stop eating dinner.
You're probably by a reasonable margin the lightest person in this house.
I'm well aware of that fact. I was just talking about you or me.
Okay.
I thought that in my head, the heavier person was paying less, so I was thinking about bulking up at the gym. That was the joke.
Oh, so the money is stayed the same.
The Rock is earning more money for being larger.
Yes.
So I want to be bigger than you.
Okay.
The gym bro era begins.
Uh-huh.
Okay. The movie makes 217 million worldwide. Respectable. If it came out now, post-COVID, people would be like, a big hit. A big motion picture.
Yeah. This film did not open number 1.
Okay. So I'm looking at the
release date.
We're talking June 17th, 2016. Okay.
Indeed.
The number 1 film in June 2016 is... So this is the week that we were doing our junior cert, or our leaving cert.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So the week after this is Independence Day Resurgence.
Which we went to see.
Mm-hmm. So whatever is number 1 this week, I probably didn't see. Oh, is it Finding Dory?
It is Finding Dory.
So Finding Dory didn't come out in Ireland until July. Okay, that's fine. This number 2?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Finding Dory is a very forgettable film. Half of the cast of that movie are people from Modern Family, which is just the laziest casting, but anyway. What's number 3?
Oh, next up is... We spoke about this guy yesterday. Two people here, we spoke about them yesterday for one reason or another.
We spoke about them yesterday? I don't know why we would have done that, so you're going to have to give me more information. I don't remember you and I's conversations.
It's a director-actor buddy pair.
I need a genre.
They're friends. No, the genre give it away.
They're friends.
They are friends, and they kind of they seem to help each other out and do movies together.
Oh no, I'm really.
What were we watching yesterday?
We watched The In-Betweeners. We watched Aquaman.
Yes,
it's Juan and Wilson.
Is it
a horror?
Yeah.
Is it an Insidious?
It's
Conjuring 2.
Conjuring 2.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yep. Never seen. Looks scary.
Patrick Wilson
spooky.
In this image looks like a cross between Will Arnett and Michael Keaton.
Patrick Wilson has always looked like Will Arnett to me. I've always made that comparison.
Yes.
He is like yassified Will Arnett. He's like Will Arnett put through a beauty filter. Love Patrick Wilson. Just a good
honest guy.
Honest guy. Just a nice vibe. If you've never seen his episodes of Girls, folks, where he plays this handsome doctor that Lena Dunham ends up having a fling with, he is so fucking charming on Girls. Oh my God. Anyway.
Next up.
Proceed, yes.
Here's a film that was a very badly missed opportunity and could have done with...
Money Monster.
No.
Oh, so close.
I have more to this.
That was out around the same time,
It could have done with hiring the people that did the tagline for Central Intelligence.
What? Why? Because it needs a good pun.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. That's so vague. Where would you even come up with that? Like,
okay, I'll see if you have a letterbox review.
Right.
This could be a good one for it. This might be a boy party episode.
Okay. We have 2 minutes until we're hitting our 45 minute.
Oh God, this is our longest episode ever.
We have 2 minutes to go, folks, till we're shutting off the mics. So.
Okay. You give this 4 stars.
Oh wow. Okay.
And your first line was, "Whoa, this was so good." I think I was doing my leaving cert when this was released. Only possible
I know what it is. I know what it is.
I hadn't seen it till now.
This is a movie that should be called Now You Don't.
Yeah.
It's Now You See Me Too.
It's Now You See Me Too.
Oh, fucking Now You See Me Too is definitely a boy party episode.
Yeah, but not even 2 is in TOO. It's just a number 2.
Oh, it's a terrible title. That movie honks so hard. It's so good. It is a fucking magic heist movie directed by John M. Chu. Fucking, they recast Isla Fisher with Lizzie Kaplan. Such a glow up.
Yep.
Daniel Radcliffe and Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman are all in it. Fucking Ruffalo and Eisenberg and Harrelson. Oh my God. Such a good film. Such a good cast. Yeah, great film.
Next up.
Yes.
A film where David Ehrlich and David Sims gave it a 0.5 star and 1 star respectively.
Great. Have I seen it?
No.
Is it a horror?
No, it's just like...
What is that?
This is Warcraft.
Oh, I'm never watching that. Directed by David Bowie's son, Duncan Jones. Who directed Source Code and Moon. Never seen it, never will. Empire Magazine sent me a cease and desist because I scanned a photo from it from their magazine, put it up on BuzzHub, and it got like 1 billion views on BuzzHub. And then Empire Magazine were like, take it down. That belongs to us.
Yeah. Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. I will never watch that based on the game, obviously.
All right.
Looks like a garbage. Okay.
We wrap it up there.
We will.
There's nothing else interesting.
Thanks so much, everybody. You can visit boypartypod.com. The show's available on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else podcasts are found. Tell your friends. Leave a review.
Let us know what your favorite Rock, Kevin Hart film is.
Definitely. Yeah. And we'll see you all very soon for more Parties with Boys and Girls. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.